there, everybody. It's Mike Delisio with another Dice Tower Daily Unboxing. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Ankh, Gods of Egypt, coming from designer Eric Lang, publisher Simon Games. This is the third in the big box trilogy that started with Blood Rage and Rising Sun. This is set in the Egyptian mythology. In ancient times, along the mighty Nile, the people flourished, and so too did their gods. They built monuments, made sacrifices, and grew in power, but power can only be shared for so long. As one by one, the gods are forgotten or merge into new deities, they wage bloody war for control of the land and the people's devotion. Only one god will emerge triumphant in the new age of monotheism. Who will it be? 2 to 5 players in about 90 minutes. Looks like there's going to be some area control, some maybe special powers, god powers. Might be some asymmetry that would kind of fit in with the other two games in this line. Well, let's take a look inside and see if we can get a better idea of what the components look like. Here we have our rule book. Let's start there. All right. Here we've got our components. Going to be obviously a large number of miniatures. It's a cool mini or not game after all. Got our game board, different game boards and dashboards, our tokens and cards. Got our basic concept here where it looks like they go over the different regions in the board and what the different types of spaces denote. They talk about some high-level ideas like adjacency, figures, and monuments. The central dashboard, it looks like where you're going to be choosing your action selection spots, your god dashboards, devotion, the different battle cards. Here we get to the setup where they've got the illustrated setup step by step. 3 ways to win the game to become the only god of Egypt and win the game. Player wins immediately when their Ankh token reaches the top space of the devotion track. They win immediately if they're the only god left in play after the 4th conflict event. If no gods are left in play after this stage, the game ends in a draw and Egypt becomes atheistic. If neither of those previous conditions are met, the game is won by the player with the most devotion after the last event on the track is resolved. It's played in turns. During their turn, a player performs 1 or 2 actions. Sometimes those actions will trigger an event. Here are the different actions. You can move figures, summon figure, gain followers, or unlock Ankh power. And then obviously it goes into more detail about each of those different actions that you can do. Looks like they've got some nice examples, illustrated examples for each of these actions, which is always appreciated by yours truly. Here are the section about the events that can happen when certain actions are triggered. And you've got, maybe these are actions here or events that can happen. Control a monument, camel caravan, conflict, which I assume is going to be a relatively big part of the game. Merging gods. Only in a game with 3 or more players at the end of the 3rd conflict, the 2 gods with the least devotion are at risk of being forgotten by the people of Egypt. To avoid that fate, those 2 gods merge into a single divine entity. Those players controlling those 2 gods now play as a team for the rest of the game, winning or losing together. Goes into more detail about the merged god gameplay, the forgotten gods, the different gods or different Ankh powers, levels 1, 2, and 3. More detail about the battle cards, the gods of Egypt, the guardians of mankind. And then a nice summary here on the back of the rule book. We also have some scenarios in a different scenario rule book. Every game of Ankh uses a scenario in order to determine the initial setup and any special rules and objectives that will influence the game. And so you've got different scenarios that apply depending upon player count, all right? This is the Middle Kingdom, and it says there are no additional rules with this scenario. It just kind of gives you a setup on where things start on the board. That's for 2 to 5 players. You've got scenarios that are just for 2 players, another 2 to 5 players here, 2 to 3 players, 3 to 4 players, 2 to 4 players. Some of these have additional rules, some of them do not. All right, so a large number of different ways to play the game based really on setup of the game. All right, let's start taking a look at the actual cardboard and plastic components that are included within the game here. Let me get these out of plastic as best that I can. Here we go. I think I've gotten myself a good start on this. Okay, I thought I had it and then it was still holding on. I'll just put this right here for now. So here's our little devotion tracker, which is placed off to the side of the board. Okay. Our actions board. Okay. We've got some cardboard tokens here. These are good quality cardboard, kind of typical if you've played any or own any CMON games. These seem to have the kind of standard, what I would call at least standard, maybe even higher than standard quality cardboard tokens. All right. And then we've got our board here, which is quite large. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get all of it here in one shot. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of start here at the bottom. We're going to just scroll up a little bit there. And you can see kind of the breadth of the board there. All right. Okay, let me get these out of the way. Here we've got a large box of what I'm going to assume are primarily miniatures. So we'll hold off on that for a moment. I'll save those for last. We've got, as you can see, kind of a plastic insert tray here. Let's look at some of these merged God cards. All right, so we've got the different merged cards here. Amun, when you merge with Amun, mysterious forms. And it has kind of a cheat sheet on the back, merged with Anubis, merged with Ra, merged with Osiris, and merged with Isis. Sorry about the little glare there. Okay. We will look at the God dashboards here next, as soon as I can get them out of the plastic. Okay, so here we have Amun the Hidden. You can see the different Ankh powers here, the mysterious forms power here. All of these have some art on the back that give you some kind of flavor text. All right, we had Amun, we've got Anubis the Embalmer, Ra the Sun and the Light, Osiris, God of the Dead, Isis, Queen of the Throne. All right. We've got some standard size cards here, which I believe are the battle cards. I believe that's the case. Okay. Some of them have some text on there. Some of them have, well, I think they all have text. So basically they've got iconography and text to support that iconography. This one just has icons, +3. Okay, so different cards that you can play during battle to affect what might happen there. Now these are specific to each god. As you can see here, Isis has their own, Osiris, Ra, Anubis, and Amun. All right, and I believe they look to be the same. I didn't really take a good look, but they look to be all the same cards for each god. All right, here we've got the cat mummy. These are the guardians. Setet, the mummy, Apep, giant scorpion, Androsphinx. And we've got some player aid cards here. Double-sided player aid cards with the battle steps on one side and the actions on the other. All right, well, there we have the kind of card and cardboard. Now let's take a look at the miniatures, which are oftentimes a pretty important part of one of these types of games. So these, we just have our plastic bases. Don't need to spend a whole lot of time looking at those. We've got some plastic Ankh tokens here in the different player colors. Take a look at those. Okay. We've got some what look to be standee bases and a glass looking token. Kind of a blue translucent acrylic. I don't think it's glass, it's more, I think, plastic or acrylic. Okay, got those. Now we've got a lot of little bitties here. These are the camels. Hopefully we can get a good look. There's a fair bit of detail on those camels. If you wanted to paint them, I don't necessarily see that in my future, but you never know. Okay, and then we've got the different figures, the units for each of the factions. I'm just going to show one from each faction because they look like they are all the same mold for each. Okay, so here is the orange faction. The green. I guess I can show both sides there if we want to do that. Okay, then we've got the red here. And the blue. There we are. And then finally the purple. Okay. This is a barrier between the two. All right, and here we've got the big ones. These are the larger scale minis. So let's take a look at these gods in all of their resplendence. There we go. Oops. Very, very nice. These are, to my eyes, quite nice miniatures. Okay. All right. There we go. Trying to make sure we get a good look at these. This is the tallest one of them all, because look at all of the devoted followers there at the bottom. My goodness. All right. Then we've got some guardians here. We've got our giant scorpion. Ah! Very cool. Ooh. Very impressive. Crocodile. Look at that. Pretty slick. Okay. Got just a few more models to show off here. These are those cats, I think. Yeeks. I'm a cat lover, but I don't know that I necessarily want to run into those. Here's our mummy, would appear. And then finally, this model right here. There we go. All right, well, a whole lot chock full inside this box. That is Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Thank you for watching another Dice Tower Daily Unboxing.